Everybody. I got another build overview to do for you guys. It's another cool dude from the Discord. Handed over his build, trying to get it fixed up. He was originally a Fizz stacker with, well, not stacker, just a Fizz roll with the normal Fizz staff, normal everything. And thanks to the help from everybody in the Discord, he's been making quite a few changes to the build, and he's come along quite nicely. So he has shared his stats here. I did not apparently get the strength in here, but his strength is also, I think, 232. Dex 234 and 234 really well balanced, and you can tell he's got amazing energy shield and his reses are capped. He's got a little too much chaos res for a guy who doesn't take chaos damage. Obviously, one health is chaos inoculation, but that is not anything really to complain about. The first thing I'll talk about here is absolutely a nitpick. It's not going to affect you too much at all, but it's the breakpoints for the attributes here. So for Dex, right now he is not rocking the Falcon technique for the 15% dex or 15 dex gives 1% or 1% attack speed. So you're only needing to worry about the 25% from the gloves and the 5% on the staff. So unfortunately, this 234 is not as efficient as it could be, because with strength you only need to be every 5 levels, and int you only need to be every 10 levels. But uh, thanks to polymathy down here, it gives you 10% increased attributes. So almost all the time, well, mathematically every other time, when you take a 5 node, it gives you actually 6 attributes. So thank you, Beverly. I appreciate you, girl. She's bringing me things from the floor. If you take 1 point off of Dex and put it onto Intelligence, it will give you the 1 to 10 extra Intelligence lightning damage, and it will also give you the attributes from the staff to give you increased area of effect. So this may be worth it because you'd only lose the 2% attack speed from the staff. It is probably the best way to go because you'd still be over 225, the 25 Dex breakpoint. If you were to get Falcon Technique, you'd have to worry about that out as well. So that's why 300 is the really sweet spot, nice and easy breakpoint to get, because then you get the 5 from attack speed on the staff, you get the 25 from the gloves, and the 5 from the tree, all hitting at 300. It is a big damage boost when you get up there, but you're not there yet, so you don't need to worry about it. So first things first is he looks to be a little bit lower level, probably mid to upper 70s based on 105 points. Pretty sure that's where it is. I think max is 223. So now we'll get into it. I had a look at these a little bit earlier, and I noticed Innervate on Charge Staff. It could get you the lightning damage kind of sort of consistently, but Charge Staff is not the thing that's doing most of the killing. When you're doing killing on mobs, it is Herald of Thunder, Herald of Ice, and also when you're doing bosses, you're not killing anything, so this is unfortunately not the best here on Charge Staff. Persistence, I haven't checked into it yet, but as far as I've been aware, I've been informed that persistence does not work on charge staff, only the charges mess with the duration. That could very well be wrong, but if it doesn't work, then I'd say take it out, just do a quick test. I'm not 100%. Overcharge, this could be really good because it helps you apply the shocks, stronger shocks, to do more, well, a bigger damage multiplier against the bosses, so I have no complaints about this. It's actually pretty nice, and you're going to be shocking all the time, so oh well if it's a shorter duration. But Shock Siphon, same thing with Innervate here. You're not going to be doing the killing with the charge staff, so I would take Innervate and Shock Siphon off and put it onto probably Herald of Ice. Speaking of Herald of Ice, you got Magnified Effect, makes great sense. Lightning Infusion, you do not need Lightning Infusion on Herald of Ice. You're already going to have enough lightning damage with Hands of Wisdom in action, and it's going to be reducing the natural cold damage you get from Herald of Ice just being a cold skill. So I would say take Lightning Infusion, put it on Charge Staff, take these two off, put it on Herald of Ice. Conduction's good on here, and I'd say replace one of them with Cold Mastery too. Cold Mastery, it's a great sixth slot, not the fifth. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, obviously, counting Herald of Ice. Uh, it does good damage for the final slot, but for your when you have a bunch of other things still needing to be in there, it's not the best. It's just a little inefficient. Tempest Spell, you have overabundance. You're also using cast on shock. so that means your bell is popping instantly. So unfortunately, overabundance just isn't doing anything for you anymore because you're popping the bell faster than you can actually place the bell. So I'd say swap that out with probably like concentrated effect or rage forged. Uh, and then you also have close combat here. That's great. Font of Rage. I mean, if you need it with Rage, Font of Rage, it's not a bad thing to have. You lose a little damage, but if you don't need it right now, no problem. Like having two of these being support things is kind of gonna mess you up a little bit. But if you like having the Font of Rage up there and you don't want to use Rage Forge, instead of that, you could use something like Potential to give you more crit chance on the bell, so that way it is getting more use out of Sunder My Enemies. And Elemental Focus, I really don't like this. This makes it so the shocks, ignites, and freezes that you put on the bell aren't being transferred outwards. The bell probably still gets the extra flat damage put onto it for the lightning damage and whatnot that it puts out there, but it's if you're not insta-murking the boss, it's actually going to be a big bit of utility downgrade, and I don't think you're going to like this in the long term. Like, it might be okay. You're using overabundance, and the thing about that is so you could get multiple bells out at once if Cast on Shock wasn't insta-procking it. And Elemental Focus means that they can't Shock Freeze Ignite each other. Like, this definitely isn't my choice for an ability on here, but I mean, if you're just doing it for the damage, okay. I don't like it though, personal opinion. Uh, and then yeah, you're rocking Cast on Shock. Flat out, I think you should take off Cast on Shock and put on Elemental Invocation. I see you got Eye of Winter and Sniper's Mark. Those are two spells that are going to absolutely demolish your mana, and I don't know how you're going to keep up any mana uptime against a boss. This is going to be very, very, very chunky. Uh, if you have Elemental Invocation on, yes, it's one more click, but then you could swap out Elemental Focus for uh, not Elemental Invocation. It's called Rising Tempest, the one where as long as you use a skill that does all the types, lightning, fire, and ice, it gives you the damage bonus of 12% per more multiplier. And so Cast on Shock does not give this to you. It gives you the lightning damage, but you're already getting lightning damage from Charge Staff and from Tempest Flurry. So there's your Tempest Flurry. So it's really not giving you any more damage, but Elemental Invocation would help a lot if you were to swap out for Rising Tempest. Uh, so there's multiple different. Yeah, you have lots of options for Tempest spells. You could put on Concentrated Effect, you could put on Rising Tempest, you could put on Rage Forged. Any of them would be good. Herald, Tempest Flurry. Yeah, it's got Lightning Mastery on there. So probably put Concentrated Effect on Tempest Flurry because you're not doing the minion tech. You don't need the minion gem. So that would help a lot. It'd be a big damage increase if you need it. If you don't need it, Inspiration, Martial Tempo, Rage. Those are all the good utility ones. Primal Armament makes perfect sense on there. Yeah, I don't like Lightning Mastery because it just jacks up your mana cost and doesn't really give you much damage. This is just kind of a dead skill on Tempest Flurry, unfortunately, but having the Lightning Infusion either on Charge Staff or Tempest Flurry would probably help you out. Yeah, I think those need to be swapped around a bit. And then Cast on Shock here with the Eye of Winter and Chain, it's great, but you might also get some work out of Ricochet. I don't like Sniper's Mark that much. It's another really big mana cost and doesn't really give you too much. You might be thinking that the Mark is really good because it'll give you the extra Frenzy Charge, which turns into a Power Charge. But the only time you're ever using this really is against a boss, and against a boss you're dropping the bell. And against a boss, when you're dropping the bell, you're freezing it every time, which will give you the power charges. And also, if you wanted to put Electrocute in, like Charge Staff or something, or even your Tempest Flurry, if you didn't want it in your Charge Staff and you wanted the Tempest Flurry to be the uh, electrocuting utility skill, I mean, that could work. It would kind of lower your damage a bit. Then you could also put like Neural Overload on Charge Staff and then Electrocute on Tempest Flurry so that they help each other, but then Charge Staff is still able to shock. That's entirely up to you, but it's something that you could definitely do, and then it would help out a lot. It would help a lot. You wouldn't need Sniper's Mark, and it'd give you another source of getting Combat Frenzy charges. And then, yeah, like I said, put Ricochet on to help with Chain. It'll help a lot with Eye of Winter. It's a pretty nice combo. Tempest Flurry, yeah. I just don't like Lightning Mastery on it. It just doesn't do enough. Grim Feast, wonderful skill, and absolutely nothing to complain about with Herald of Thunder. These are an amazing combo, but one thing I did notice just now, you don't have long shot on either of these, Herald of Ice or Herald of Thunder. Uh, Whichever one that you think needs it the most, if you put long shot on Herald of Thunder, you'd need the sixth slot because all these are wonderful on it as is. Then it would just help freeze so much more often, which would cause more Herald of Ice procs. But if you're thinking Herald of Ice isn't destroying enough enemies, if it's not consistent, if it's leaving them a little bit low, like I don't think that would be the case, I would say drop Lightning Infusion for Innovate first, and then drop Cold Mastery for Long Shot. That would be the best with what you got now, and then try to get a sixth slot to put Shock Siphon in there as well. Uh, it'll just help you a lot, be more consistent to keep you alive if you're ever dipping below with that Grim Feast, because Shock Siphon is only good if you go past your normal maximum, not your double overcapped. But overall, it's looking decent, but things do need to be moved around for sure. It's not optimized at all, but they have reason to be there. And yeah, you don't need to run Electrocute. I just like the extra defensive layer, but it might fit well in here and it might not be necessary at all. Charge Infusion, Precision, you do not need Precision. You have enough accuracy to hit everything all the time, always. And also, I don't think you need Charge Infusion right now. It'll give you the more crit chance, which is quite nice, but I feel like you might get more use out of Blink for right now because it looks like you don't have much for mobility right now for speed wise. You have a little bit of a lower attack speed, so Tempest Flurry is going to be holding you back a bit. And so in your current setup, I think Blink would help you out for jumping over ridges and stuff like on the whatever that map is with all the vines going across and the corridors, but it looks wide open and the plants. It would help on maps like that, but it's not good in closed maps, so it's definitely not necessary. Charge Infusion is fine, absolutely fine. It's just kind of a min-max thing. For right now, you're still leveling. I think Blink for the utility of getting around and every once in a while dodging big fiery explosions will help you out a lot. Now for your skills, great staff, absolutely fantastic. You'll probably never swap this out because it's amazing. The only time you might is if you somehow got a ridiculous double corrupt that I don't think it can hit attack speed, but maybe if it's like weapon damage and an extra socket. I've seen an extra socket and an extra crit damage be rolled on top of it. Yeah, that was in the last video. These gloves are fantastic with that extra frenzy charge. If you did end up swapping out of the resonance tech and using the dodge roll tech, you'd be able to take advantage of that frenzy charge. But it doesn't really affect much. It's just nice for keeping uptime. Hold on, the dogs are losing their mind. I'll be right back. Okay, so then you have the Ingenuity belt as well. It's pretty good. It's a little bit of a lower roll, but it's offset with having some nice decks. This isn't something you'll replace anytime soon, probably, but you could get a lot better one. Even if it's like you're just gonna have to check the breakpoints of the stuff that you have to see how much it'll help you. Like what's the breakpoint for 22 versus what's the breakpoint for 13, because it PoE only cares about whole numbers. If you're at 1.99, you won't get that 2, but if you're at 2.01, that 1% increased uh, on here is the same as all the other, well, it's better than all the other points before it because they did nothing. Your boots, they're lower base, but they got great res, they got great attributes, and it's got some decent move speed on it. Uh, I think this is pretty solid. The main thing I'm seeing is, unfortunately, you put increased armor evasion energy shield in the hands of Wisdom in action, and it's really low rolled. Meanwhile, your higher rolled boots, even though they're still unfortunately low for the evasion energy shield, uh, they have the lightning res in there. Those should have been swapped one for one, obviously. It's unfortunate, and also that maximum mana roll, while nice, would have been better as like a flat evasion energy shield so that it would have more to scale with that 54% because the increased evasion energy shield scales off the flat that you roll as well. It's really, really strong. This ring is fantastic. It's a little bit low rolled strength there, but for the most part, not an issue. I think this will stick with you for a long while. That cold damage is amazing. It'll help with the big procs with the Herald of Thunder to get the freezes for Herald of Ice. Wherever it is, there it is. And this ring, it looks a little funky, but it's also really, really, really good. You got the fire damage, lightning damage, and on here the cold damage. You're probably getting crazy amounts of damage from these rings and scaling with the belt. So you should be free shock igniting all the time, especially on the bell. Makes me think elemental focus, while it's going to add a bunch of damage, I don't think it's going to be good. I think it's taking away from your ability to freeze the boss. This chest piece has a great amount of energy shield, which is fantastic. However, it has pretty much no suffixes because that intelligence is about half a roll that it could be. It could be a lot higher. The reduced attribute requirements is doing absolutely nothing for you, and the chaos res is doing absolutely nothing for you. If you were able to find something with a little bit of resistance on it, it would probably take out some suffix requirements, like the res requirements that you have on the rings, make it a little bit easier for you. Helmet here, it's a pretty good helmet. It could definitely go with another energy shield roll because this thing is a flat energy shield. I'm pretty sure they can go up to like 450, 500 pretty easily, but uh, overall, it's really, really, really good. Uh, Based on the stats you gave me earlier, it doesn't look like you need the cold and lightning resistance. So uh, while I definitely say keep it for sure, uh, look for one with some int on it as well. That'll help you out. It's a big amount of damage and it'll help with everything. And your amulet with vulgar method, so you get the strength and crit chance, but you don't get. It's like a little bit of a mana loss. It's not a bad thing at all. Like honestly, vulgar methods is one of the best annoyances you can get for this. And you have huge maximum energy shield and energy shield. The only dead stat on here is the life. This is an extremely good amulet. The only thing that jumps out at me is that you need to put the 20% attributes on there right away. It'll cost you very, very little, and it'll do a massive amount because you're going to get the extra int, the extra all attributes, and extra strength. Strength will go up to like 37, all attributes will go up to 25, and intelligence will go up to 12. Just that alone is going to give you probably 20,000 DPS on your main attack. Like it's going to be a lot. It's crazy how much it scales. I might be a little bit off because you don't have the Falcon technique, but overall I'd say boots will eventually be upgraded, but it's no rush. Chest needs to be upgraded. It's unfortunately lacking all the suffixes, and suffixes are the most important on these builds. That and the energy shield, so the chest is important to get right. And the helmet can definitely be improved. It's not a necessary thing. Uh, Honestly, the helmet won't need to get touched for a while, but it'd be really, really nice if you could get some int on it eventually. The Hopefully we'll be able to swap the runes soon, so you can take the Iron Rune out of the Hands of Wisdom in action, and the Storm Rune out of the boots, and at the very least swap them. But you'll probably need to find slightly better boots eventually, just because the base is unfortunate. And yeah, I got nothing else too much to say about that. It's looking pretty solid. You got the right ideas of what you need. It's just unfortunate you need a little bit better gear going forward eventually. I really, really, really like your amulet. It's kind of a good thing that it has no all res or resistance of any kind, as weird as it is to say, because when you eventually go for the chase item of the Astramentus amulet, this here will not make you have to rebalance all of your other gear again, because you'll already not be needing to rebalance your resistances. It'll just make it a one for one swap. It's going to be something super far down the line, but it is actually kind of nice that you don't have resistances and it's helping you balance for the future. So definitely swap some skills and You definitely have everything in a decent spot here. First thing I'll check is the jewels. It's a ridiculous jewel, this one. Maximum energy shield 20%, recover 2% mana on kill, and 10% energy shield stun threshold. Holy crap. The only downside is that it's not corrupted, but I mean, I'd be scared to corrupt this myself. That thing is beautiful. If you could get some attributes on it, it's crazy how much attributes give you. You're right not to look for really damage numbers on here. Damage doesn't matter too much. It's the utility that matters. Energy shield, stun threshold, mana on kill, and crit chance. Those are the four, and then potentially skill effect duration. Those are the five really, really, really big ones for Blue Jewel. And then here again, 20% max energy shield and 10% energy shield to stun threshold. It's actually ridiculous. It's a shame it's crit chance for spells instead of just crit chance, because that could have been another 10 out of 10 jewel. As it stands, this one can be improved because again, it's not corrupted, which is actually massive. Having corrupted attributes or corrupted blood immunity is ridiculously good. And it's to the point where you almost shouldn't have jewels without corrupted attributes. It's actually insane. But this one here is fantastic. You're not going to want to swap this out anytime soon. I noticed that you don't have the Verana Jewel or Corrupted Metamorphosis. Verana, with what you have and with the amount of strength that you have, will give you like 2100 more energy shield. So it's crazy. This one here is your first bad jewel. This is the first one you should just replace. Don't even worry about this one really. 12% max energy shield is nice, and energy shield recharge rate is a nice supplementary skill to put in. But the rest, chance to ignite, minion skills have attack and cast speed, doesn't matter at all, and it's not corrupted, doesn't have attributes. Unfortunately, this here is a jewel that just does not matter for you. And this one here, really nice maximum energy shield, really nice crit chance. Faster shield recharge is, well, faster start of recharge is, again, an okay one to have in there to supplement some other stuff. It's not necessary, but this is kind of like a 2.5 attribute one. But again, not corrupted, no attributes on it, no corrupted blood, nothing like that. And if you were absolutely desperate for resistances, it doesn't have corrupted resistances. I am sad to say, but if a jewel doesn't have a corrupted mod onto it, it's like having -1 mod, and it's a big deal. And unfortunately, something like attributes on this is the most important thing to have for the most part if you have 10 to strength. Think of that as when you get the jewel, the Verana jewel, 5% more maximum energy shield and 24% damage, which is more than anything else. But things that can't be fixed by attributes like the crit chance, and that's extremely important. And then the stun threshold, which you are obviously looking at on the jewels below. This one here is another one that definitely can be replaced, but it's pretty good. Just this one here was unfortunately bad. This one here, maximum energy, shield, crit chance, mana regen. I love this one. This is great. It's a shame that its magnitude of damaging ailments. If it was non-damaging, it would be amazing, but I don't even think that is a thing for the blue jewels. This is a very, 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 very nice jewel that, again, it's just a shame that it's not corrupted with attributes on it. And even if you did corrupt it, it's not like you can guarantee it's going to do something. You got a third chance of losing what makes it special. You have a third chance of getting something that's not as good, or just not doing anything else at all. And then a small percent chance that if it does something good, that it gets the good that you want. But still, that is another good jewel. This one here is another bad one, unfortunately. The cold damage doesn't really do much. It'll help you a little bit with getting those freezes off, but it's not much at all. You don't really need the freeze threshold. You're going to use a thawing charm to avoid that for the most part. The maximum energy shield is great, and again, we're not really doing damaging elements. We don't care about ignite. This guy here, crit chance, maximum energy shield. Again, really nice, but it's just two mods. If you could find something with a corrupt on it, or even a third mod on there, like it could get a lot better. You got a lot of stuff balanced nicely. I'm looking at the tree here. You got the crit, and with vulgar methods and with the crazy crit on all your jewels, I think you're probably overcapped on crit. Well, not overcapped, but well over 50%. And so you're in a good spot. But I think one thing that would really help you, you don't need to drop vulgar methods now or anything, but you might find better use going elsewhere with it because I'm pretty sure you have more crit chance than I do. You might be You might find it worthwhile anointing Wildstorm because your amulet is good enough to anoint that, and it's definitely expensive. I can't remember which one's more expensive, Spaghettification or Wildstorm. Whichever one's cheaper, it'd be worth anointing, and yours is probably good enough that you're going to keep until you find Astromentus. And then also on this, I'd say take out this crit damage node from Throatseeker and come here to Martial Artistry with 25% dex and 25% crit damage bonus. It's a lot of damage, it's a lot of attack speed, it's a lot of attributes obviously. The accuracy rating is going to do basically more for you than the kind of useless accuracy support right here with precision. Like, I'm really disappointed with precision, but for the most part, uh, it just means that you don't need to worry about accuracy, which I actually love. Accuracy was a horrible stat in PoE 1, and it's great in PoE 2 that you actually hit things. But yeah, come here for Martial Artistry instead of Throat Seeker. I think that'll help you a lot. This is a lot of damage, but if you have ridiculously high overcapped crit chance, maybe take it off here instead with Critical Exploit, because this is a wonderful node, of course, but it gives you a lot less damage than Throat Seeker, so play around with your stats. I don't know exactly what your crit chance is, but come down here. And then, yeah, just see what your numbers are like when you swap these around and put this guy in, because I'm 100% certain this will be the way to go. Uh, because you don't have the uh, controlled metamorphosis gem for this tech, for you it'd probably be better not to take these 2 points yet and just come here for the 25 dex instead, and then the next 4 levels come here for the attack speed and dex onto Falcon Technique. These aren't bad notes to take because you get 6% attack speed and 5 dex on them. These are actually kind of decent. It's just when you get a little bit further in and you're super point starved, it's nice not to have to pay into it. But overall, I think you're doing a really good job. I don't have any complaints. You have the most important crit node, which is this one, that helps you get the freezes and everything off. You have really good idea for what jewels you need. You just really need to get the attributes on it. It's crazy how much it adds to it. Like, it's essential. It's the most important stat on the jewel. On potentially better, but at least in the same line as the crit chance and the energy shield and the stun threshold. So 100% look to improve your jewels. And then, yeah, just look to get some levels because once you level up more, it's going to give you a lot. Drop this guy or this guy, whichever one you need the least. Potentially this guy. Actually, yeah, maybe you have enough crit chance that you can avoid putting your points into this reduced crit damage bonus node. But play around with your numbers, see what you got. I think that should help you a lot. For the most part, it's all kind of good. The jewels are not optimal, but or sorry, skill gems are not optimal, but you'll fix that pretty quick. And your gear, the first thing to replace is the chest piece, and then look to get a better helmet and boots when you can. Your rings are fine for now. Try to eventually get a better ingenuity belt if you can. Don't worry about breaking the bank for it. You'd probably sell this to afford the other one and only pay like 1 or 2 div more, and then it would be a lot better. But that's for future you. Right now, yeah, just look at the chest, fix the jewels, and get some levels. You're doing a really good job. Alrighty, good luck. I hope this helped. See you later.